Good afternoon, and this is Speak On It. My name is Maalik. This program is being presented by Racial Current Team's nonprofit organization, produced down here at CAN TV, and we appreciate the opportunity to be here. Today, we will go back and forth, but stay with the scripts. And the clips is the script. Now, this is Negro History Month. I will, before this month is out, talk about some other issues that might have been better suited to open the month with, but we do what we have to. So today we're going to just basically deal with some D&I issue. Now, I said it before and I said it again. And I just got hearing on the radio, they had two of these slave spitters that get paid by the system that oppresses the descendants of slaves. Now, I'm listening to them, and they good with that slick tongue. They can say things and make it make sense, but part of what one of them is doing, the real hustler, he got people boycotting one store that is actually owned by the store that he's boycotting. But the store that he's boycotting has Negro entrepreneurs' products in it. And I'm listening to how this slave, and I'm saying slave, because I'm praying that somebody that got access to the Trump administration will hear what we are saying. There should only be two categories, in my opinion, for the descendants of slaves in North America. Either that's a Negro, because that's what we were before this damn Obama wiped us off the census. A test tube wiped off a whole, basically, species of human beings because he could. And these slave leaders that have called themselves African American, let me remind you, Negro History Month, there was about 7 or 8 handkerchief-head slaves that sit at a table and took it upon themselves to call us, to name us African Americans. Ain't nobody asked me, ain't nobody asked nobody in my family whether or not I was a Negro or African American. But that's what they did. And they did it because of the theocracies of their master. And then they played with Afro-American. None of that is true. Either you are a slave or you're a Negro. Our ancestors lived and died Negroes. Even the freedmen was Negroes. You want to lay Negro on this Portuguese, that slave naming. No, there are 4 different race groups. Go to Google. If it ain't 4, it's somewhere around there. And that was before you slaves. Before you African American, before you blacks. Black is the biggest foolishness that ever hit our community. Because everybody can claim black now. White folks used to call us colored. This is Negro History Month. They did. They had colored fountains for water, colored restaurants, colored toilets. See what I'm saying? They did. Now, what we of this day, and those younger than my generation, because my generation is the baby boomers, and everybody know that our time is not as long as it used to be. And that's why I be intense. I be intense because of the fact that I know that after my generation, there are some coming up. But mostly what I see is like this thing you got running in Chicago, talking about reparations, but had they talked about reparations and gave Negroes reparations, this creature will give all of the money to the illegal invaders. So we don't need reparations in Chicago right now because we got a creature, slave, that believe that those illegal invaders should be the priority of all of the sweat and suffering our ancestors have done. Now I'm saying all of that because it is Negro History Month. But I want Trump to really think about using an executive order and declan. There's only two categories. Either you're a Negro that's striving to be an American, or you are a slave that's striving to be put in one of them damn concentration camps over in Cuba. Because you are a traitor to those Negro descendants of slaves that worked for all of what we thought we had, that have been given back to everybody else, and we end up with the least piece of the pie. For instance, and next week we'll run the clip that the people will be telling you exactly how it fell out. DEI benefited the white woman more than any other group. The white man next, the damn Asians, Hispanic, and all them alphabets and other stuff, and then the Negro, who lost affirmative action because of a damn Asian. Then the Negro might get 3.8% of that foolishness. And then you got Negroes running around here, slaves. Excuse me, Negro ancestors, these slave tricks running around here playing trick or treat with our history and our presence and our future. So yeah, I'm gonna stay intense. I am. Because this is no time to let the same parasites get fat. And now they're trying to maneuver themselves so they can get in good grace with Trump, so they can begin to get whatever money he's gonna let go. But first thing they wanna do is try to scare him that they have power and influence over the rest of us Negroes, that if he don't give to them, they're gonna just keep dogging what he's trying to do. Now, he need to just lock y'all behinds up and let the rest of us go on and do the work that got to be done. Now, sister, I want you to run these clips, and looking at time, look like we're in a good shape. I elaborate after each clip. Now, these clips as it relates to DEI. And no, we don't know exactly what happened last Wednesday night with that plane and that helicopter. But if you listen to and read what they was up to, and I know it's true because this Safe Passage program here in Chicago, that I was part of the group that helped put that together back in the day, 2010 I think it was, that it had a good, beautiful reason for existing. And they was using the right people to deal with it. Ex-offenders and other people that had street credit. But then it switched. It switched under Rahm Emanuel. But it was the Negro slaves that made it useless. They did. And it looked like they must have been working DEI before DEI even was discussed publicly. Because all of a sudden, there was only women, damn near, that really ain't had no clout with nothing but a plate. And then the rest of them basically was people with special needs. You could tell they was mentally and intellectually challenged. So when kids looked at them, kids saw something to laugh at. Because what they saw, they knew. I know you ain't out here trying to help me be safe from nothing. Look at you. But couldn't nobody hear that, couldn't nobody see that. And I know some of you all see the programs and why he's slamming us. I ain't slamming you, you know the truth. And the truth is, the program was really made for ex-offenders to get out there and be sure that the insanity in the community was controlled and eradicated, or at least alleviated. That didn't happen, never did. It has turned into what we had before that, Parent Patrol, but with less understanding and commitment to a purpose. DEI before they called it DEI. And it's a sadness because there have been so many opportunities provided that these damn slaves have aborted the aspirations of those of us that could have brought about a type of empowerment that we all could be proud of. Run that piece, sister, and then we'll talk about it.
Donald Trump Trump and the Washington, D.C. airplane. So Democrats are quickly blaming Donald Trump for this plane crash because he had a hiring freeze. So apparently that's Trump's fault that this happened. Donald Trump is blaming DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion for this, and both sides are going hard at each other. Uh-oh, but wait a minute, what's this news story I found January 14th of 2024? FAA diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. Yes, of course, this is from the New York Post, as you can see, dated January 14th, 2024. That's last year. And this headline is basically stating that the FAA's diversity push is hiring people with, quote, severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. Look at that. Here's the story. You can pause to read that if you'd like. Of course, there you go, saying that Pete Buttigieg's department, so if you remember him, this is when that all started. So before you talk all kinds of shit needlessly because you're too stupid to understand reality, why don't you check out that story real quick? Really shines a light onto what Donald Trump is talking about.
And I need to say this because what happened is, because we're having some type of challenge with this microphone that I got in my ear, when we tested it, I could hear it. But for whatever reason, I can hear the C's, but I can't hear these clips. But I'm going to say this. That clip spoke for itself. So I want to try to re-emphasize or amplify anything in it, simply because of the fact that you can go research what the man said. And then you understand how dangerous it is. And it really don't make sense. Why would somebody terminate all these white people, for the most part, that was working air traffic control, and tell them they can't keep their job because there was not enough diversity? But they was the only one trained and qualified.
Air traffic controllers.
So what they do is they say, look here, we're going to lay y'all off, terminate y'all, and we're going to bring in some handicapped people. People that are challenged intellectually, psychologically, and in all other type of ways, even physically. And we're going to let them control the lives of millions of travelers, because we think diversity, equity, and inclusion is more important than merit qualification. Now you want to dump on Trump because he say merit-based. Oh, I got enough sense to know that merit-based is a trick. Because unless a Negro get opportunity, he can't demonstrate merit if he's discriminated against. But hell, he wasn't getting but 3.8, no way, of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they stopped giving him anything for affirmative action. And now we're no worse off than we were from the get. But maybe by them moving that mess out of the way, some Negroes with the qualifications will be hired based upon their qualifications. Not you going around hiding somebody that been in a workshop for special needs people all their damn life, and now you giving them a job. Now there's an interview you're going to see in a minute. Now I don't know, I looked at the man. He looked as sort of special to me. That might have been because he just looked like that. But then I look at the mayor here, and that Jeffries boy that they got in Congress.
Let me show you what.
All of them look the same. That's a generation that look like they need more help than our generation did. But in our day, we recognize them. But what happens now, they want to mainstream everybody, and they want to deal with a quota. Well, a quota can't fit every situation. But anyhow, sister, we're going to run out of time. Get on back to that other piece here that on the clips. Let's just stay on the clips, and then we'll follow the clips, but I got to elaborate on them because folks got to know what the clip is connected to and why we're talking about DEI. you ought to have enough damn sense to know that those people that they have identified to replace those traffic controllers are not qualified and trained for that. And in that situation where that plane crashed, you had about a 30% deficit in people that should have been on staff. Now, none of that makes sense, but when you think about it, them damn Democratic reptilians, under Biden them, you see what they was doing. But they was able to send $50 million, where they were trying to send $50 million to Gaza for some damn condoms. You understand? Man, and you slaves want to uphold the insanity of that Biden administration. And now we find out that the boy that runs Ukraine said, look at here, out of that $177 billion, we only got about 76. Where's the other 101? And then you wonder why Biden, you understand? You want to wonder why Biden pardoned his whole damn family? Because that other $101 billion that did not go to Ukraine, that was told to the American public, Ukraine said we didn't get it. Now, some folks thought it was a trick in the beginning. And now we see. Whoo! Slave. Stop trying to lead the Negro descendants, because we got more intelligent than that. Go on, sister.
Air traffic controllers were poor communicators, and those communications were inefficient and inadequate for what was happening in the sky. In your experience and your understanding of these air traffic controllers, there's understaffing, there's a DEI problem there. Do you think that could have been a factor?
I do. And where is the standard? When the reports came out that the tower was likely understaffed by a third, if not more, what is the standard? What percentage are they allowed to go down to cease operations until they are able to be a functioning tower? Because clearly they weren't. This is a high stress operation. The stakes are incredibly high. And who in a leadership decision decided that they were able to operate a tower at that level of manning? It's mismanagement. The DEI aspect needs to get looked into it, because it focuses on people's feelings rather than people's lives. Merit is what allows people to be put in these positions to be the best person for the job. Just as we saw in your opening, where you talked about DEI pulling in these people to make other people feel better at the risk of other people's lives. When people say DEI is deadly, it is not because it's some catchy phrase. It is because the reality of what happens when you change the standards, when you lower the standards to put people in these positions in order for them to get the job, otherwise would never be able to get these jobs.
Trying to put over FAA, and he couldn't answer one question when they brought him before Congress. He just so happened to be colored. I don't know if he was a descendant of Negroes or not, but he was dark-skinned. But it was such a disgrace. Question after question, and the only thing he could say is that I can't answer that question. I can't answer that question. Now the question is, how did he get to that position that they was considering him? And who knows, at the end, they probably gave him a big position. But I think, really, in the end, they gave the position to another incompetent, merit-deficient European descendant. But the bottom line is, had we stayed in the quicksand that we was under and in, boy, we would have been doomed forever as a society of common sense. DEI. Now, the trick, seemed to me, is that intelligent people, common sense people, need to maybe, instead of believing the same people that's been lying to you for the last 60 years, under the banner of the Democratic reptilian is the same people that putting you in a position where you might not be able to benefit from this administration's opening of opportunity that could benefit the descendants of slaves. Now, if you keep thinking that everything that's being done is what the main media tell you and these damn slaves tell you, you're gonna miss it. Now, I did hear, now because of the fact they can use other clips, we're gonna have to ad-lib and I find out, what that issue is. But I don't wanna get caught up. Now, there's a thing as it relates to some information. It's all over the place. That some of the things that was put on pause as it relates in this particular situation to Section 8. There appears to be a situation where Trump has said, maybe, maybe not, because I haven't read it, although I have heard various people on social media that was in a position to know what they were talking about, saying that 2 years is going to be the target as it relates to Section 8. Now, a lot of people that's been waiting for the last 10 and 12 years seem to think that's a good idea. Because some of these folks been on Section 8 for the last 30 years. You understand? They have been sitting on that and ain't moved. They've been on food stamps and ain't did nothing but got fat, and that's it. And the truth is, there has to be a timetable, if for no more than giving everybody the opportunity that's in need. But there are those that said Trump is taking away all of this and all of that. Wait a while now. Back to the 14th Amendment that I thought we would get to next week. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why this stuff can't be used. Hell, we've been using it for, ages. But maybe. No, we were using TikTok then too. So I don't know what, they got a new system that can't use whatever. But the bottom line is 14th Amendment. That is something that was put in place. And the 13th Amendment for the Negro slave and the freeman that was already here. Not for nobody that was an illegal alien or illegal invader coming over here, dropping a damn kid and calling the kid a citizen and staying over here to raise the kid. No, that was not what it was for. But you got these slaves running around trying to give away what was put in place for our ancestors, for us. Now they're trying to give it away, just like this creature you got here in Chicago that Congress has called before a committee, but he'd rather fight Congress, fight ICE, to continue to give illegal people benefits that we can't get. He was naive enough in the beginning to say to us there's enough for everybody. But yet you run into $1 billion budget and you wanted to raise taxes on us because it was not enough for us. But you had given more than everybody shared to somebody that wasn't even a citizen. So now you got sanctuary city people want to fight the federal government for people that don't even supposed to be here, who own country say send them back home. But you slaves are running around here saying, no, take from the descendants of Negroes and give it to coloreds and blacks. But just don't worry about the descendants of Negroes because they really can be merged in. And next week, maybe we'll just get some video. You're going to hear, we'll be reminded of that female Harris who said, of course we ain't going to do nothing especially for Negroes. You're going to hear from that demon, Biden, who said, if you don't vote for me, you can't be black. You see? Until next week, alafia, peace, and good health.